All right. So in the world of CPAs, we are commonly, the tropes oftentimes fit and oftentimes they don't, right? Usually we have the CPAs who are boring, who are curmudgeons, and we are always, in the rear view looking boring, crotchety people. And then you meet a subset of folks like Yuri who decided that I will not fit in that box. I refuse to sit in that box. That box is boring.
Yep.
So today we're joined by the Fun CPA, aka Yuri. Yuri, why don't you give us a quick hello?
Hello, hello. What's going on? Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate you. And I appreciate your support too, man. You've been a part of my LinkedIn journey for quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's all you, man. I mean, look, I lately I kind of introduce myself when I talk to non CPA folks of like, look, I feel like I am the fraudulent CPA or the imposter CPA because my whole CPA journey has been a series of me thinking I don't belong here.
Mm,
Like I don't know how or why I got this. Well, I know why, but it's like I still question why did I even do
yeah.
this? Like I don't fit the mold, right? Every time I talk to other CPAs, I'm like I don't fit. And then I see something pop up on my LinkedIn, and it's like the Fun CPA. I'm like, first off, the graphics back then, like that kind of initially grabbed me, and I was like, dude, this is kind of amazing. And then I met you in person. I'm like, this dude's
Thanks,
amazing.
man.
Like like all of the go figure it out, go piss off, get out of my office. Like that energy wasn't
Yeah.
there with you. And you're like, hey, like why do we have to silo everything? Why do we have to be so abrasive? Like why do these tropes like I'm not
Yeah.
let's break that mold and see like, hey, this is I am a CPA. I worked in the industry and I don't think that we should carry on this legacy of these old tropes.
Yeah. There's a lot of things to talk about there, but like I am not even remotely surprised that we have a pipeline issue. I'm just not because even as far back, so I graduated from college in 2010. Started at the bigger firms, went to EY for a couple years, 4 years, and then came back to Jersey. So I was in Florida.
Mhm.
There, I was there while my girlfriend and wife now went to optometry school down there. Then, we come back, and I start my journey of like trying to find this perfect firm to stay at. I didn't have any intention necessarily. I mean, to go out on my own, right? Like that. I wanted to in theory, but I've always thought, okay, I'll stick it out. I mean, if I can make partner, okay, I'll make partner. But all these firms were just like one way or another not great. But the not great part was similar in every single firm.
Mhm.
And the not great part were these old school partners, this culture mentality, this like grind hours, and the biggest thing that used to annoy me, there was two things that used to really piss me off, which is one was like how they treated staff, and they treated them the same way I guess they were treated in the 80s and 90s, like grind hours, bullshit, and like they just like keep working, and raw hours, and all that matters is billable hours, like, and just that like that culture. And some firms were better than others, I will say,
Mhm.
but some were really bad that I was at, and I was at 7 firms in total. Then the other thing that pisses me off, and they used to annoy the crap out of me, is just like efficiency was punished. So you combine those two things, you know, and I'm not surprised we have a pipeline problem, because who the hell wants to work? Salaries are fairly low when you graduate. You immediately are hit, and you go anywhere, Reddit, LinkedIn. I mean, even LinkedIn, even Fishbowl, all these places, and you see like everybody is like, oh my god, the hours are crazy. I'm like drowning. I am, like my mental health is suffering. All this stuff, and the salary is low. So unless the culture gets fixed, like sure, 150 hours. Like I'm diving into a lot of topics here. I'm just
Mhm.
letting loose, I guess. But yeah, like 150 hours. A lot of people are pushing for that to get rid of that. Sure, it'll move the
Mhm.
needle a tiny, tiny bit. But unless you address all these other things, who's coming in? Nobody's coming in.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, like, so for me, like, if I go into the why did you even pick this industry, this major, whatever, and I mean, in a younger, it's one of those things where I could look at it now and like that's cute. Where the soon-to-be grads or those who just graduated, they're like, "Oh, I love accounting. I love." I'm like, Let's cut the shit.
yeah. Come on.
Like honestly speaking,
Yeah.
like there are legitimately, I've met like a small handful where for whatever reason it's something just in their DNA, just like I love this, I truly love this. But the rest of us,
Yeah.
it's pragmatism, right?
Yes.
Like for me, it was just like, look, man, I wasn't studious enough to get into med school or veterinary medicine or anything like that. I was interested in this, like I nerd out on things, right? My interests were there, but the idea of me crushing my soul to sit down at a desk and study for another 7+ years, no, not interested. So I went business. Out of business, it just so happened my class out of the gen ed classes, accounting just clicked. Why? It wasn't because I found accounting sexy.
Well, like exciting.
It was just like it was like a puzzle that just kind of clicked in my head. I'm like, okay, this makes sense. Let me just go out, take this as far as I can, right? Like, but at least what we were told back in the day is like, hey, you always gonna have a job, and it pays really good, and this, that, and that, right? And then you graduate and you realize Big Four is the answer. Go Big Four, grind it out, get your 3 to 5, and if you want, you can leave and you're ready. Manager, director, whatever, and you're set.
Yep. That was the narrative. It's interesting you say that because before college, I was like 16, 17 years old. I've always wanted to do business, something in business. That was my path. But then I got sidetracked when I turned 18 because a friend of mine was doing EMS, on the ambulance or whatever, volunteer. Mm-hmm. And he was like, come do a ride along shift. And I came to the squad. And I fell in love with that, like that rush of like helping people and knowing what to do in those situations was one of the more exciting things that I've done career-wise. I did it for 16 years after that. And during that time, so after getting licensed to be an EMT and do riding shifts like a ton, dude, I used to ride 80 hours a week. 80 hours a month. Sometimes the weeks got crazy, especially when I was home and free. I would help out as much as possible. But where I was going with that is that created a pivot in my life where I was like, oh, maybe I want to do EMS, AKA medicine and just in doctor route and pre-med and med school. And then I started, even in high school, I was never good at science. Like I was trash at science. I couldn't get through biology. So, chemistry was even harder. But I decided, I'm like, no, I'm going to do pre-med. I'm going to go for it because I love EMS. So I started in my first year, I was actually pre-med. So I switched back, started doing and I struggled through biology in Rutgers. And then I was like, oh my God, if I struggled this much just to get a B in biology, chemistry, I'm going to fail this. So I was like, never mind, go back to business school, Yuri. Like, what are you doing? And so then I pivot again back to business. But by then, my GPA suffered because of that. A few other things suffered, but getting back on track now in Rutgers at the time, it was 2 years of general, general ed kind of before you get into the business school for the last 2 years. So in your sophomore year, you got to apply to the business school, but your grades better be good. And I want to do finance actually. So I applied with my grades. My grades were not that great. I actually didn't even get into the business school at all because I had an issue with one of my grades where I got messed up right before applying, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, by the time it got fixed, the finance was closed. It was already full. But at least I got into the business school. Next best thing was accounting. So yeah, to your point, where I was getting with all this is very little amount of people, even back then, accounting was hot, right? Back then, people were going into accounting and they were like, I'm going to always have a job. It's a good career to go into. And the reality of it is I personally still think it's a good career to go into. I certainly still think it was a good choice for me to go back then because the options are versatile. Once, you can do 3 to 5 years and go internal in-house somewhere. You can go. I could have gone during my career pivots in the 7 times that I've quit. I could have gone to a financial advising firm that has a tax arm to it, like a Meridian. Meridian is one of the examples. I could have gone into one of those and been an internal person. I could have gone to a family office, which I've interviewed for and got the job. I just didn't take it. And be an internal tax preparing person. I could go to obviously a million of public accounting firms and whatever, and those are endless. I could go, internal if I did the corporate stuff and I did like C corps in my time in public accounting, I could have easily gone to be internal at a Fortune 500 company. So
Easy.
the routes were, and I say were for a reason, very vast. Now the dynamic has changed.
I think one of the reasons why I like to tap into you and actually like the community that surrounds you is that the insights you bring are beyond the typical like cliche superficial answers that doesn't really
Yeah.
solve anything, right?
Yeah, plenty
And
of that.
and for me, one of the things here is that I remember when in the earliest bits of when I was just trying to figure out like who the hell is this Yuri guy? Is he legit, or like is he some kind of
Yeah.
charlatan? Um,
tell me what went through your brain when in those early times. I'm actually genuinely curious.
Well, I mean, for me, my role has someone transitioned when I was working for the R&D tax credit, because the issue for a lot of these niche services is a lot of things, right? On
Yeah.
I mean, when you're an external provider, there are obviously the common things of like, hey, who the hell are you? I don't know you from a hole in the wall,
Yes.
right? And we were targeting individual businesses, and then we were running into this whole thing. And one of the reasons why they hired me is because they are big in Europe and South America, and they're trying to figure out how U.S. culture operates. And I try to tell them, look, man,
Interesting.
that's
cool.
Yeah, and for me, it was like I didn't quite understand like how is this business is business is my naive way of thinking that yes, there are cultural differences, it should be that big, and then you find out that the level of distrust that we have in this country is very high.
Yeah.
Right. Rightfully so. And so the running joke for me was always going to be like, look, we have just always assume that 90% of the people that you're going to talk to in this country are going to have trust issues.
Yeah.
Right. And so
100%, especially accountants.
Of course. And that's where we hit the first impasse, because we would target the businesses, and then they'll go to CPA, and the CPA is like, who the hell are these people?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you talking to? Why are you talking to them? Like, I don't know them. I don't know this company. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the pivot turned into like, oh, we need to start talking to CPAs. And obviously CPAs are, if you have any kind of decision making in any type of firm, dude, you are going to get bombarded. So now it becomes, unless I know you personally or I can vet you out myself, I'm just going to put you in the category of you're another scam artist, period. Full stop. End of story.
Yes.
So my job
then, very good.
Right, was to be like, hey, my job wasn't to sell you anything. It was to be like, hey, do you understand how this works? Like, how's your firm work? Like, understand the people within our ecospheres, understand their businesses, and see if they have need for understanding of the R&D tax credit specifically, right? And the sales process was a whole separate thing, right? Because for me, my option here was like, for most CPAs that are worth their salt, they don't need you. They don't want you. They don't need you. They have someone in their ecosphere already, right? Or they have the means to figure out themselves. So stop trying to sell them, because they smell that from a mile away, right?
That is
and
very
so
accurate.
When I started looking in, so then as that transition, I was like, hey, let's see what CPAs are in the area, and your thing popped up, and you might have, I'm trying to remember now, someone might have actually just also said like, hey, check this dude out. And as I go through it, it's like, oh, like he was initially it was a bit like baby who hurt you category, because it was like, hey, I broke out, I'm done with Big Four, I'm done with like these corporate firms. And I was like, that's kind of refreshing. For me, it was like akin to the first time you realize like something feels like your gut turns. I'm like, oh, that feels very wrong, very uncomfortable. Like, why is that? And for me, it was the corporate, I call it corporate trauma brain of like, you can't say that. You're not allowed to say the quiet part out loud. You're not allowed to like, oh my God, like you're going to torpedo yourself. And I realized, wait, why aren't we having these discussions? Right? Look, if you want to, the internet is like undefeated, right?
Undefeated. Yep.
Right. And so as I saw through, I'm like, I had to sit with that for a minute. I'm like, why do I feel uncomfortable with that? And I realized it's because we're always told to keep it buttoned up, keep it brushed under the rug, look, my assumption is that you're likely not looking to go back to Big Four, first and foremost, right?
Nope.
But it's like, A, I'm going to call a spade a spade. Secondly, I want to, and the sense I got was like, hey, you're not just trying to like, give me a business, give me a client. It was like, can we just please for a moment do what, like, if you're a consultant, this is ideally what you're supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
Identify the problems.
Yep.
Right. Unpack the whys, the root causes, go to first principles, understand like the problem itself and cut through the noise, and then try to actually find actionable like solutions. And so, for instance,
Yeah.
like when you started rolling out the mentorship program, I was like, this is amazing. Because again,
Yeah.
the sense I got was that your intent wasn't to just say, hey, I just want a bunch of like senior people here so we could like shoot the breeze and like maybe you could,
Yeah.
some of the young people come tag along. Like, no, I want to cut through the bullshit and say, hey, what are the real issues? And can we really truly drill down and solve them instead of just saying, theoretically, this is all well and good. Like, this is why
Yeah.
as I saw you through, like the charlatan bucket for me, like evaporated faster than most other people, right? Because
I appreciate that. It's what I try to do.
but what does that drive though? Like, right? Like
Mm.
for me, when I saw the post early on of like, hey, that's actually to your point. It was like the why am I getting penalized for being efficient?
Yeah.
And this is like I think everyone who has started off in corporate understands of like this is so nonsense. Like for instance, why am I getting punished for finishing my work early?
Yeah.
And then you're gonna say, well, that's not just how we do it here. I'm like, so fix it.
Yeah. Yeah. But nobody's willing to fix it.
No.
And there's a lot of directions. First of all, thanks for that clarity. It helps. But you know, it's interesting because one of my big things that in this space, in the LinkedIn posting is I really don't like, I don't sell anything. I don't sell anything. I think that helps to your point of you said like the charlatan and all this stuff. It dissipates quickly because I don't sell anything. There is no call to action directly. Yes, sure. Over my 4+ years of posting on here almost daily, I have connected with people. They have sent me work, one way or another, which is fine. But no, I just, I very initially in the very early stages of posting was literally just, I had the freedom to say what I finally like wanted to say. This is going back to July or August of 2021. Like I'll be on the bus and I just quit my job and I was like, had the freedom and I had LinkedIn and I was like, oh, I don't know, I'll just start posting on here about like ways to help and things that I felt and experienced in public accounting that I would share. Like that's it. That was what the intent was back then. And people resonated with that, but it was definitely like a weird thing of like, why is this guy saying that? So it's interesting because I would get a ton of like,
Hate mail.
no, not hate mail, but I would get a ton of like impressions, but very minimal like engagement, which usually you hit a spot when folks would do that. But yeah, man, I think to go all the way back to what we were initially talking about, and people not necessarily going into accounting because they love accounting and they love being nerds and they love all the financial stuff about it. People end up in accounting quite frankly, by accident or because their parents, which for me, coming from my background, being a Russian Jewish guy, like I had 3 options, which was like a doctor, a lawyer, or an accountant, and the other 2 options that are not accountant were way too long school-wise. I didn't want to do an extra 3 years, so here we are. No, but, and then it was a secure and safe job. But I think now, which really I think is an interesting thing to kind of talk about and play out, and I'm sure many people resonate. Like now with AI, and this is something that came out of left field almost with in my opinion, with how it's affecting the profession. Like with AI now, there's a huge stop or a huge pause on hiring people into entry-level positions because these greedy, like money-hungry people in firms are like, wait, we can get like AI to do a lot of the stuff that these entry-level positions were doing. And that's not good. And that's not good because that's going to create a huge gap in leadership. Like if you're not bringing on people right now, then what's going to happen in 8 to 10 years from now, or even 5 years from now? Like who are your managers going to be? Like robots? Like, is that what you're banking on here? Like, it's very like,
it's a slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope. I don't like seeing that, but I've been seeing a lot of it, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, this is where I it's always in my head, right? Because I always feel bad about like pestering you about this, that, and a third. But like, I guess my read on you is that you prefer pragmatism over, broad stroke logic, right? Which is, I think you and I, like, we push back on corporate stuff because it's like, what is, like, for instance, like, for me, I don't like being micromanaged or told rules that don't make sense.
Yes. Yeah.
only because over the masses, people take advantage or whatever. Like, okay, I understand you have a big company to run, and so you can't make exceptions. Fine.
Yeah.
I still think it's a stupid rule. And in this case too, my sense is that, you know, a lot of, unfortunately, we move, not like we as in you and I, but like
Yeah.
a holistic we tend to think in terms of short-sighted moves, right? Short term.
Yeah.
So in the short term, we're going to save millions of dollars,
Yes.
or, you know, it's depending on the size of firm, whatever, right? Like, we're going to save an astronomical amount of money, because it's not only the salaries, it's the benefits, it's the insurance, it's the liabilities that come associated with hiring people, and then the risk of this person being a schnook, right? Like, maybe you hired a dud,
Yeah.
and now you have to repeat I understand all that, but then the second part then becomes, to your point, how do you have someone who's going to be a senior or a manager level if they don't understand what the bullshit test is?
Yeah.
Like, and that comes, unfortunately, for better or for worse, right? Well, right now, right, is, see, you see it enough times that some, like the good ones, like they can almost sense something's off, and then they could figure it out. Like, okay,
Yeah.
this column here, these items, like, this is why it's not driving.
Yeah.
Right. The numbers might tie at the bottom, but like something doesn't fit, and it's a pattern recognition that comes over time.
Yes.
And you just rob the whole. So over time, my process here then becomes, obviously, I don't think if there's enough money in something, a solution will be found. Whether it's a good solution or bad, that's a whole different.
Yeah.
Right. But I think right now the argument is, oh, we need more middle managers and all this. But again, as you realize, leadership isn't being nurtured.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, sooner or later, it has to go up the chain, right?
Yeah. There's a few things. So one, the reps, those reps of doing the very, very, very basic is where you learn to then identify and you know, have that sense that something is off because you've done it so many times, you've inputted the return so many times, you've inputted the little forms and typed in W-2s, like all those things that now AI does is a big thing of how you learn. So like a lot of people will tell me, I'll continue with this thought, but that oh, well, you know, AI is going to help people to go to the next level of being more of a reviewer. But I'll push back on that and say, yeah, but if you don't know the basics of prep, you don't even know what this AI or this stuff is doing. So how can you? Yep. Back in 2014, when I was at EY, I was on one of the pilot teams there in South Florida that rolled out this thing called SurePrep. And, you know, SurePrep, I don't know if you're familiar with what it is, but SurePrep is basically like, it was like the original OCR, like optical character recognition of PDF documents that would take, like, hypothetically, would take a 1099, a dividend, interest, or whatever, W-2s, recognize what's in there, and then input it into like a pseudo return that you then merge into the software. So effectively taking out the typing by hand. That was 2014. And it was trash. Oh man, dude, back then this stuff was garbage. Back then, I remember distinctly, like, everybody was like, okay, so we're going to implement this. We're going to save so much time and it's going to be crazy. And like, then staff can take the next level of being reviewers. Oh man, the garbage that thing put into like the tax software, there were like, I used to tell my staff, do not use this thing. Yeah. Like, and many people did the same thing because it was double up your time because you would let it do its thing, bring it into the software, and it brought in trash. So you had to unwind what it did or figure out what it did wrong, which takes more time. So that was like, nah, just input it. Mm-hmm. But that was the initial beginnings of technology back then. And even back then, people were like, I don't know. Then Gruntworks came along. Gruntworks was a little bit better. But again, all the firms jump onto it. There's a huge FOMO trend in accounting, which is like, if you're not doing, you know, once somebody picks it up and they see that it works, everybody scoops it up. Mm-hmm. And now here we are, and I don't know, man. Like I mean, on the one hand, I like it to some extent whenever I can implement it because I'm mind blown by it. Mm-hmm. But I have the reps, so like, I don't know, man. Like it's going to be interesting because if you don't teach the staff, if you're not taking care of them, or if you're not even hiring them and putting a pause on that, that's going to put a mentality in the face of people who are looking at accounting, and they're going to say, oh, why? I don't know. It looks like they're having a pause on hiring. I'm getting DMs left and right of students or entry level or people looking for entry level that are saying they can't get a job, man. That's not good.
Mhm.
It's not good.
I mean, so my head kind of wraps around like, so what can we do about it, right?
Yeah.
And for instance, like, the organizations that I'm part of, the standard issue stuff, like, have the roundtable discussions, have the open forums, have the, like, this is what you should do, the skills you should learn. But like at some level,
Yeah.
I think that this whole we'll give them the foundational stuff and leave them to their devices isn't working, right? And so for me, it's like, what can we do where we could provably show that this person has a certain level of expertise under their belt,
Yeah.
right? And this is where I'm on the fence, right? Because on the one hand, certifications, I think at some point loses their value.
Yeah.
But like in a realistic world, like if you are well, for me, my thesis here is that I think, because it looks like you and I are around the same age. The early answer was how many credentials can you collect, right?
Yeah.
Your bachelor's, your master's, your da 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 da. And now I think it's getting to that era where like, hey, I kind of don't care.
Yeah.
The real binary decision for me is, can you get it done,
Yes.
right? And no, with the CPA field, I get it. Like, there's still actual credentials you need to collect. You need to have your CPA if you're doing CPA work and you're signing off on it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's still firms that think it's like, unless you came from the Ivy Leagues, we don't want you. I'm sure there's still those echelon firms, but by large,
Yeah.
it's like, do you understand what you're looking at? And for me, the next step here becomes, if you are an organization that is trying to further this specific profession,
Mm-hmm.
you need to do more, unfortunately, for better or for worse, to have some kind of litmus test of like, if you get this, let's say, let's call it FP&A, and with tied into like accounting, financial statements, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But if you could, for instance, tie it into not just you guys theoretically saying, hey, I think these are things that you should learn. Talk to actual hiring firms. Say, does this
Yeah.
curriculum actually pass the sniff test for someone you would say, if you can master this, we would hire you,
Yeah.
right? And not just some theoretical woo-woo like, hey, like theoretically you should know these skill sets. You should know how to do a bank reconciliation from a, like, we all know that never works, right? Because you see a client with real life data and you're like, this isn't what I learned in the classroom. This isn't how I learned how to do bank recs. It's
Yeah.
theoretical until you get punched in the face. And you're like, oh, okay,
Well,
this is a real bank rec.
Yeah. Well, all the learning happens at the job. Like that's just
Yeah.
plain. That's just plain. And then I'm curious now, like, where that goes, right? Like, learning on the job, is that learning how to program AI prompts to do the thing that you got, like, that's the interesting dynamic. And I would like love to somehow. So I used to be part of like the hiring processes at all these firms where I would interview people. Like I was in the interview committee and I would, go into the interview rooms with the hypothetical staff person. A lot of them now are like managers or senior managers, like it's cool to see from LinkedIn. But I would interview them and I remember like questions and like I'm just genuinely curious what interviews look like now, given all of this dynamic. Now, all firms are like most of the need right now is for tax managers or senior or whatever. That's what's being hired at the most. Staff are not, like because firms are trying to figure out what they're going to do with this, but even now, like you don't have that many tax managers that can review the work of AI. So like you can't replace and offshore and all this stuff. You can't replace staff, and if you do, don't be surprised that nobody's
Things
coming
break.
in and things break. But yeah, I think I guess to answer your question of how do you solve it, because like how do you get people interested in a profession again? I think the answer is you have to show them what can be possible X amount of time in the future. And that indirectly, or perhaps as I talk about it, like is why the Fun CPA thing is what I'm like if I had a goal or if I had an agenda, it would be to show like, hey, look, yeah, I mean, I've certainly done my due diligence and my fair share of time in the accounting space. And I've worked at public accounting firms for 12 years. And sure, I wasn't like ecstatic about it, like it wasn't super exciting and stuff. I enjoyed the work itself. I enjoyed the clients. I enjoyed learning that I enjoy being harassed for hours? No. Did I enjoy people like constantly looking at my schedule and looking at those, efficiencies that I had and punishing me for it? Of course not. But I learned a lot. I learned a ton. I learned a ton of stuff that I feel super confident now with 99% of my clients, 99.999% of my clients. And most questions I can answer faster than, your chat GPT can.
Yeah.
Most questions. And
With
so
most accuracy
with more
and context.
accuracy and more personality. And
Mhm.
and I think that goes a huge way. But again, how do you get there? So my point being is, where I think the focus is now is not to say, wow, accounting is so amazing and it's safe and because people aren't gonna take that bullshit. But
Mhm.
it's to say, hey, look, yes, the beginning is rough. The beginning is rough
Mhm.
in most jobs. Nothing is
Mhm.
like super easy and like not a rough thing as you're learning the ropes. But yeah, it kind of sucks a little bit now, but give it some time and you can get to a place where you control your schedule, you control your life, you can, you have you have a profession and a skill set that is high paying. You get to set your own fees and you get to be your own boss and make your own and make your own day, kind of a thing. And that perhaps can motivate some folks to stick around long enough to say, the salary sucks, but
Mhm.
in 5 years I could be doing that.
Yeah. And I think
So yeah.
I think that's a growing trend too. I think there's like my sense here is that you're almost being forced to really think about that long-term 40 chess. Because like for me
Yeah.
nowadays, when people ask me, should I get into the profession?
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. If you ask me a few years back, I'd be like, no. Like
Yeah.
if you're gonna go this, I honestly I would recommend you just go the finance route. And well, for me, it's because around the same years in
Yeah.
my career, those who went like the Wall Street iBanking route, even though they did burn out almost at the same rate, right? Like
Yeah.
usually around 3 to 5, you see a lot of them drop off. But the money potential was much higher there
100%.
without having to get a CPA, right?
Yeah.
But now that I'm a little more mature in it, to your point, I feel like it's more of a launch pad, right? Of
Yeah.
like, look, if you're gonna be complacent and just kind of like think like this one path is the only way forward, I mean, I'm sorry, but like shame on you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like this is your life, this is your career, and as much as I still feel a little icky about that. It's understanding like, hey, like unfortunately, you're gonna have to have some shit jobs where the bosses suck and the work sucks. But what is your goal?
Yeah.
Because for me, I think it made my life suck a little less when I realized, hey, my job isn't to go through this career path of like try to be my boss or my boss's
Yeah.
boss in the future. Like I don't want this. But I realized it was like, look, let's just figure out how do I master this one thing, which sounds in my youngest, I thought this was the dumbest thing ever, honestly. Oh, learn the skill set, master skill set. So why? So I stay here in a garbage job where I hate everything? No. But then I realized, look, back now, it's like, oh, I know the answer to that. I don't know why.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you realize, oh, the dividends were paid in the shit jobs where the shit pay, but this is where personality varies, right? I think, in like for instance, in your case, you realize I know my shit.
Yeah.
I know my shit, and I don't need to take nonsense from people levels above me when they're just playing this like let's play a nice corporate game,
Yeah.
right? You make a
Yeah.
decision now, like hey, go now. Once you know your ish, your decision is: do I jump to a company that appreciates that and lets me have the semblance of the lifestyle that I want,
Yeah.
or do I just jump ship and say, look, man, I don't need to do this for you. Like I could do this for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And the toughest thing of it all is indeed the getting the reps in,
Mm-hmm.
is finding a firm that will teach you. That this is the toughest thing that I'm hearing and seeing right now, because even if you get a job, unfortunately, with the way that the staffing is right now, like I remember when I started, dude, like there were so many managers and so many
Mm-hmm.
seniors, like at I was at EY in Miami, and they were so willing to help me. I mean, everybody was like, hey, you ask a question, and it's like, oh yeah, like hold on a second, let me stop what I'm doing, come over, like sit down with me at my cube, and tell me, and give me the answers and help me out and help me understand it and let me work it out in my mind to learn those reps. Then the next time I understood it because they showed it to me and I knew it. Right now, I don't know I truly don't know how much of that exists because one, and not at a fault of the managers, but if people around you are leaving and the work is getting dumped on your lap,
Mhm.
and now you got a shitload of work, when are you going to find time
Yeah.
to sit down and explain something to a
Mhm.
staff person, truly teach?
Yep.
You're not.
I mean,
You're
you're trying to
not.
squeeze blood from stone, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting that a lot of things that seem to be coming back like full circle now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like we tried. It's interesting with the PE stuff.
Yeah.
I do hear mixed reviews. I mean, I know a lot of folks are saying like PE is the devil and all that, and
Yeah.
my experience with a lot of PE stuff has been, I mean, I'm not gonna call him like Satan, right? But for me, it's like it's just corporate and money. It's just pragmatic math, whether you agree with it or not. But then, there were some folks who were involved in PE acquisitions, and they're like, look, their stance was, if you're a well-oiled machine, they
Yeah.
leave you alone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, like that happens too. I don't know what the propensities are, like the proportions or whatever.
Yeah.
But the return to saying, hey, we're just going to do what's best for the bottom line. I think we're seeing more firms realizing, hey, like that's actually a quick trip down to the bottom.
Yeah.
Right. The culture of actual mentorship, of like raising a generation of leaders, because I need a promotion. I need someone to fill the spot, and I need to not look like a jerk. Right.
Yeah.
Honestly, like it's self-serving sometimes. I don't know that it's being picked up by the big firms per se. Like I legitimately don't know. I legitimately don't know.
Yeah.
But I feel like there are a lot of firms who, like yourself, like they spun out, I'm going to be a solopreneur,
Mm-hmm.
or these mid-sized firms are realizing there's an opportunity here because everyone is jumping ship. Well, hyperbole, right? Everyone's jumping ship, saying like, I don't want to do this, top 10 firm if they're gonna just view me as another, not even cog, just like, right? I'm like the used grease oil at the bottom of the pan, right? It's like,
Yeah. 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 It's an interesting dynamic. I mean, it really is. I don't know where people right now really have two options, and I'm seeing a ton of push towards entrepreneurship. I'm seeing a ton of push towards having their own firms. That's going to be that's going to continue. I'm only seeing more and more of it. That's one. And two, I think that, like, to those who don't want to be an entrepreneur, they don't want to have their own firm, and that is totally fine. Like, those people will just be on the hunt for that firm that's dynamic, that can adjust, that can incorporate technology, that still values their staff. But really, if you just show people that you value your staff, you teach them still, even with all the advent of AI, and that you pay well, decently well, like, you'll get all of the top tier talent.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very simple. But the problem is, unless you are an agile firm means you don't have old school partners holding you back. And I would argue the top 100 firms, I'm going to go as far as to say the top 100 accounting firms.
You have an old guard.
Most of them, if not all of them, have an old guard that's been doing things the same way, that will fight you tooth and nail on any little thing you want to implement. I recently had somebody in my DMs that said that they're like a high partner, but nothing that they're saying, nothing that they're suggesting, nothing that they're trying to implement is ever going to happen on, and they're just laughed out of the rooms. Like, so if you don't have any new ingenuity, nobody cares what you say, you're laughed out of rooms. Well, where do you think they're going? Those are the folks that are going to be going to have their own firms. Or they're going to try to go to a dynamic firm if they don't want to be entrepreneurs. But that's the downside. I hate it. I hate seeing it. I do.
Like I kind of steelman this out, and for me, I try to take out my bias to the best of my ability. And on the one side, I could see where, say, the top, call even 200 firms, right?
Yeah.
As we built up a business, and usually if I'm in like especially top 100, but call it top 200, I've probably been in business for decades.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like, this is just a cycle of like, oh, the sky is falling.
True.
We'll hold steadfast. We'll hold the line, and sooner or later the pendulum's gonna swing back towards normalcy.
Yeah.
Right. And things will right themselves. Well, the other side of this argument is also the smaller firms that you would usually be able to just bury with resources.
Yeah.
Or that leveling of the playing field is happening much more dramatically than you think, especially again, those who are more agile are able to embrace AI in ways that aren't bogged down by bigger corporate structures.
Yeah.
Right. And the other side of it is, yes, there are a lot of small firm owners that are, like grumbling about like, these people, these new hires want like $1 million plus benefits, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
And on the other side of it, you're like, hey, I want a quality hire. And so if you look, like, Reddit is beautiful for this. You read through this and it's like, on the one side, people are like, if you're going to treat me like garbage, you better pay me well. The other side of it is like, hey, we want quality people. And I think this is a fair salary of like, say, $60,000.
Yeah.
$60,000. Like, if you're in a high cost of living, bro, like, what are you doing? You can't, you're asking for 5 years of experience and you're paying staff level, maybe. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, sorry for the digression, but for me, it's like if this trajectory keeps up, the small to medium sized firms are going to find themselves in a situation where, like, hey, you remember that time you guys used to just like laugh us out the door when I worked for you back in like 2025?
Yeah.
Case in point, we're doing fine, and actually we're chopping at your, like, we're right at your heels. Like, what you want to do now?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we can go into endless tangents of where it's going to go, but I'm already seeing it, and you're going to see only more and more of it as PE comes into the picture and takes over these firms that are bigger firms with top tier clients that are just simply not getting service anymore. And forget, let's call it their B and C clients that are not getting the same service anymore because PE has prioritized their A clients. Now B and C clients are going where? They're going to the next level down. Or possibly, I mean, I'm talking to some firm owners that are looking at clients coming into their door. There's a solo person or a small firm person that's getting like people with a fee of $150,000 possibly.
Yeah.
$100,000, $200,000. That's insane. I mean, I would never ever take a client. I would never take a client like that. It's too much liability and too complicated. But it's there, and it's going to be more of it. But yeah, man, I mean, if we're talking about what fixes the profession, like, obviously I don't have all the answers, but to me it always comes down to the people at the end of the day. This is a profession of people. This is a profession of like, hey, take care of your people so they can take care of the clients, have good relationships with them, and feel ownership and feel pride in their work. And until that comes back, and not profit, greed. We're not gonna be fixing anything, right? Like 150 credits is gonna help because that was whatever. That's an extra schooling. But even that, like, when people would talk to me about that, like, even that, think about it, right? Like, if I told you, hey man, you're gonna make $200,000 straight out of school, but you just gotta do like another 30 credits. You'd be like, hell yeah. Yeah. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Market, yeah.
Yeah, they were talking about, what the hell are you talking about? Of course I'm going to do that. With my eyes closed, I'll do that. It's everything comes down to, what are you getting for your effort? And if your effort is an extra 30 credits, but you're going to get paid $200,000, absolutely. If the current offer as it stands is, in some places where there's 150 credits still, is get extra 30 credits, meaning at 10 or 15 grand more in your student debt or more, and get paid $65,000 in New York City. No thanks. Then when you chop down, when you cut down to 150 to 120, the math becomes slightly better. But again, you're shying away from, like, where does it come down to taking care of your people? I'm not saying go and increase starting salaries to $200,000. That's excessive, because the other part of the value you're getting is the reps and the learning. But now if you take that away, then it's like, again, you're not taking care of your people, right? Like, that's really what it comes down to. So, like, implement technology, utilize it in a good way to be alongside your people, not instead of your people. And I think that and then showcase what is possible in the future. And not everybody is meant for entrepreneurship. So if you if you got a firm that's taking care of their people, they're good, they're paying good salaries, they're utilizing technology alongside their people, they're teaching, that reputation is going to carry. They're going to get the best talent. And that person that would just grow in the firm and become a partner in a place where it doesn't suck. And people are not like blocking every single thing that you're trying to implement. That is how you re-up the profession in the best way possible, and then beyond that, yeah,
it takes care of itself.
It takes care of itself. But yeah, I mean, if you If you greed, focus on AI and offshoring to replace your staff. Don't hire as much. Don't take care of those that are there that are requesting to do something different. How many? I've had that plenty of times. You know, like you request to do something and they're like, no, you're better served here. Oh, thanks. I didn't ask you. I'm telling you where I'm better served at. And I'm not going to shy away from continuing to tell you. And if you don't do it, I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
Which was my story time and time again. But the point is, again, like that was then. And now it's worse because, you know, now there's even less people to swap that out. So anyway.
There's people willing to take on.
I have digressed plenty. And
no, I mean, these are the like when you, for me, again, like I noticed that a lot of times we get stuck into the top of mind stuff, the big stuff, and even those don't have answers. But I'm like, you need to go a few layers down, man. Like, you know, for me, we often like business 101, right?
Yeah.
Can you go down to the root cause of issues?
Yeah.
Right. And for me, it, you know, when you, instead of saying, hey, like here's another pizza day, right?
Yeah. Pepperoni or what? Because, you know,
Veggie Supreme.
Ooh,
right? Because
right.
everyone, you know, but that's the thing. It's like, understand your buyers, right?
Yeah.
Understand business 101. And, you know, for me, this is actually, I know this is a bit of a pivot, but well, at this point, was it like what, a couple of years I've known you, I think, right?
Yeah.
You could have just set up your firm, did some promotional stuff, line up your, and right now, you know, as I understand it, you're in a good spot in terms of your client base and your workload.
Yeah.
And you could have just been like, yo, I'm good, I'm out. But you seem to continue to try to drive value and at times to your detriment.
Yeah. Yes.
Why?
I don't know. My detriment is is an interesting point that I don't know if I myself understand, because like one can say to my detriment, my only detriment that I see would be my time, meaning doing all this stuff on social media, posting is a time sucking, energy sucking like vampire.
Yeah.
Because I mean, a shitload of my time goes into it. And what value do I derive beyond just helping people at scale? Is, I guess, I suppose, a detriment, right? Because I'm not selling anything again. Like, and every single time that I try to sell something, every single time that I put together that community, the Mentors Count community, and shut it down because I couldn't do it. You know, because it was sucking up my time. Two, it was way too much effort and time, and I can only do so many things myself. And B, I just didn't have the right people in there because of my following, whatever. That all that stuff aside. Now, I mean, you know, with my podcast that I have going, that's picking up a lot of steam, but I don't know what I'm doing with that either. So the overarching theme is I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm enjoying it because I'm enjoying adding the value. I'm enjoying interacting with folks, and I'm enjoying adding the value. The question of why am I doing it? I'm still gung-ho about like showing that what you can do in the profession beyond being miserable and sitting at these bigger firms and feeling like you're wasting your life away and not seeing your family and shit. And that would be my thing that I'll, I guess, continue doing. And if I make some money alongside that progress, whether that's by some sponsorships and stuff like that in my podcast or whatever it may be, I'll figure that out. But for now, that's where I'm at. And I am taking a bit of a step back now. I'm not going to be on there as much. Just trying that out to just take it easy. But that's my very long answer.
When I started getting heavier into social media for like work, I realized that my appetite to even check it just for funsies is like gone. I don't, like, in my brain, I don't know if it's the same for you. Like I just like I'm before this whole LinkedIn portion, I was, you know, I had to create content for like Instagram and all this, and just trying to keep up with the pace. And like for me, I got to a point of burnout of just I don't even want to doom scroll on that anymore. Like I don't want to even look at it anymore. And I do every once in a while to connect with friends, but it's like, dude, I don't. Yeah, it's not there.
This is for the R&D firm.
No, before this, my like social media portion started when I was working on real estate, and for me, it was a means
Your realtor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah. That realtor shit is no. Oh man, that is a
it's
burnout
no
and a
joke.
half.
It kills you, man.
Were you dancing on TikTok?
I actually thought about it.
But
But
it's funny you say that. I mean, any social media, I'll just put it like I said, I've been at this for 4.5 years, man. Like any social media will drain you. It's purely the reaction, it's the interaction, and it's what you're putting into it, right? So the more passion you put into it, the more it's going to impact you personally.
Yeah.
Right? Because put it like in the simplest of terms, right? Like you can put something out there that you don't give a shit about. That's AI slop generated bullshit. Blast it out and move on with your day. Maybe it'll blow up. Maybe it won't. If it blows up, oh well, you didn't even do it. Who the hell cares?
Yeah.
When you put thought into every word that you put out there over a certain period of time, you garner the follower base. You garner the authenticity, trust, blah 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 blah. But you're not doing anything with it. Like me, I'm not doing it. You can send clients my way. Thank you. And that's awesome. I had plenty of relationships like that I've built through LinkedIn, but that's not why I post. But again, amazing. But, at that point, then becomes like when somebody comments, like I'm going to comment back, not as a robot, but as myself. And then we're going to have a discussion on there sometimes like, dude, bro, I could easily spend 8 hours a day on there, but yeah, it drains you out, and even doom scrolling then becomes a comparison game, and that crushes you. So it's like, man, that's why I say like it's really like reducing my time on there is for the best. Yeah. But at the same time, again, then you start thinking of what's the missed opportunities, like, right? The grind of getting there. I don't know. It's the challenge.
It's never ending if you let it, man.
It's never ending if you let it. And that's why you got to. I just got to a point now, and especially now, it's like things are moving along. You got to focus on what you really truly care. Like, I mean, I really enjoy the podcast, so I'll continue posting about that. Interestingly enough, those posts don't do as well, but you got to get out of like this is the other thing, like, and then in the social media realm, like a post doing well doesn't mean anything. Like it doesn't, like
it's vanity metrics.
Yeah, it's vanity metrics. It's not like you're getting more money just because of like whatever. Indirectly, there's a ton of million of things that could happen from a post that goes viral, but it doesn't matter. Like at the end of the day, it's cool for me because a lot of the opportunities that I've got would never in a million billion years would have ever imagined I'd be there when I was a staff person or a manager at these firms. And when I just quit and I started posting, I never would have thought that I'd get speaking opportunities, like, brand deals, like all this type of stuff, like, a podcast that never would have ever imagined it. I'm very blessed to have it, and that stuff would never have come if I didn't put the work in to posting and spending all that time on the platform. But then sometimes on the flip side, you go, but if I didn't do that, where would my firm be? It's an interesting journey all around. But to those who do it, on a daily basis, and it's part of their job. And then the last thing I'll say about this topic is it's a very hard thing to differentiate what's work and what's doom scrolling, even to your point. Like, am I working right now is a very common theme. Yeah. Right? I have my work. My real work is delineated, easy to figure out. LinkedIn, social media, is that work? Like there's no ROI. There's no like trackable metrics of any kind, KPI, ROI, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. Like you can't, other than vanity metrics, which are quite, again, vanity and meaningless. Yeah, man. Yeah. So it's interesting.
As we go through more of this conversation, I always try to go into like fundamentals and like primary drivers. And for me, there's like the recurring theme that seems to come into my like brain space.
Yeah,
is that you have this values driven moral compass first.
Yeah, 100%.
And then the tropes for most like CPA types or most corporate types or most, I guess, people in general is like the chances of, like the fear of ridicule, the fear of, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh, you fell flat on your face. Oh, you feel like all those things. I think that comes secondary. right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
I don't
for
care.
you, as best as I can, I'm going to drive as much value for folks, not for myself.
Yeah.
And the value and the ROI will come later. But for me, I'll build first and see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. That's really it. It it comes down to me like, and the interesting thing again, the point of comparison, you look around, like, look around, and social media will bring to you, the folks who are doing it in somewhat of a similar, but somehow like monetizing it, or somehow, like making money off of the things that they find valuable in what seems to be an easier way, let's just say.
Mm-hmm.
And that's tough too, right? Because you're like, oh, like love to make money somehow off of this stuff. But yeah, but I mean, my values, dude, go very deep in many ways. Like I'll share this other story too. Like, and with the podcast blowing up and everything, I'm about to hit 11,000 downloads, which is cool.
Yes.
But obviously my thought for this year, 2026, was to start doing ad reads. And I was like, oh, this would be a good way to make money, like with something I already enjoy. The podcasts are already popping, like it's happening, it's getting traction. I'm rolling out more podcasts. I'm recording freaking 3 episodes next week. Like I'm doing the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to these people, these people who are my friends, basically, from LinkedIn, that are connected with them way beyond social media. I'm like, I'll reach out. They got brands, and we'll be a good alignment, and they'll pay me money, and we'll do it. So first people I reached out to were 2 folks. One of them is Abacor, David Lamb, who is a great guy, and he's like, I use the platform myself for like note taking and all that stuff. It's an incredible platform. And then there's another platform out there that's well known too, is Ping. Mm-hmm. So like this was just coincidentally happened to be like, that's the first ad read that I wanted to do. That was the first like thing. I was like, these 2 guys, like I literally use their stuff. Like, so let's talk. And the first thing that happens is like, I'm like, oh, I guess I'll approach one of them. So now the first thing, obviously, and I don't blame either of them or whatever. Obviously you want exclusivity, right? You don't want, and I wouldn't want to be like, here's an ad read for like Abacor. Here's an ad read for, like a month later for Ping. Like that's stupid, right? Like listeners don't like that. How do you decide where you're like, are you just basically like a sellout? That's, I try to avoid that as much as possible. There was that. Then there was also like, obviously they're both supporters, so they would want to help me. And they would want to like somehow like support me. And so I'm like, okay, now I'm like pinning people against each other. Like that was weird. And that was the first thing to me. Like that was the first, I could have easily made $3,000, $5,000, whatever. Name my price. I mean, it's like that. And it's amazing and it's great. But this is where we go back to the values. Is $5,000 even, nobody offered me 5,000, but is $5,000 worth
that relationship?
That and the optics. Is $5,000 worth the optics? Then I was like, fine, like whatever. I ended up not charging them, whichever. I'm like, because first of all, I don't like being told what to do. So that's one thing. And that ran back to when I was at the firms. I didn't like being told what to do. And now, especially now where I can have control over things, like nobody is going to tell me like, like, and even though I understand, like, I don't want to be told what to say. Like on the ad read, I just want it to be like natural, authentic, whatever. And I don't want to be told necessarily like, or control too much as to who I can post about, and yada, yada. And again, I totally get like if somebody's paying me money, I understand that they don't want me to shout out their competitor. Like I'm not stupid. I wouldn't do that anyway. Right. But regardless, I don't like that aspect of things. So again, so then I'm like, fine, whatever, let's go to move on to somebody else. And then the more I've spoken to probably, let's say about 4 or 5 brands or 4 or 5 vendors. And I'm like, when am I going to do my work?
Right.
like my actual real work, like this client shit that I got to do. Because I'm over here like chasing down and negotiating my rate for an ad read to some vendors so that I can make $2,000. Now the math is great, right? Anybody who I talk to is like, you're crazy. You're like, because like I can make $2,000 off a 30-second ad read. And people are like, Yuri, that's nuts. Like, what do you mean? But the flip side of it, I can't do it. Like I just
It's not
couldn't do
true
it.
to your
So I
vision.
just literally, I ended up just saying, fuck it. I didn't charge anybody anything. And none of the ad reads that I've done, I charge anybody for. I just called it shout outs.
Hmm.
And I just
I think that makes
started,
sense.
I'm like, like if we're boys, if we're cool, I'm shouting you out on this thing.
Hmm.
And that's it. And so I would shout out, like Anchor, who I use, like a Tax Dome, who I use, Financial Sense, because I use them. I would shout out again the Abacore of the
Hmm.
world. I would shout out CAS, which is Cloud Accounting Staffing, because the Caleb and everything with my with a rap battle and stuff. But like
Shout
that,
out to Caleb.
like yeah, like that stuff, like I'll do
Mhm.
it, and I'll feel good about doing it, because again, when I shout it out, when I do that stuff, like then nobody cares. Like, nobody's gonna say anything like you can't do this, you can't do that.
These are hard decisions, especially when you become a business owner, right?
It
Especially when
is.
you're in positions of, and for me, this is where and look, I'm not saying this is the way you do it, because
Yeah.
for my own sanity, I just got to the thing of my philosophy in terms of that is going to be, I am not going to operate in a space of scarcity. So
Yeah.
even in the realtor space, you would have people like, oh, like, why are you providing these people with like multiple people to talk to? You should just like, I thought we
Yeah.
were friends. I thought we were
Oh
people.
yeah.
So I'm like, I understand that.
Yeah.
But for me, I want to be in a realm where I'm more than happy for the people who are operating and I trust, or I sense like sense good things, because I can't bet 100% of everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, I think they like, as far as I can tell, you're not a charlatan, you're not a piece of crap, and
Yep.
you're doing good work. I'm gonna give you the list of all the people that I trust and think are do well, and let the consumer decide.
Yep. Yep.
Right. And for me, but I think it's for me coming from almost like from the fiduciary like a mindset of, if I have clients or people that I'm trying to serve,
Yeah.
am I really serving them by dictating to them, this is the thing that you should do? I should only stand by one client. No, look, if I like multiple products, I'll
Yeah.
shut them out all out. I don't care.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to talk about money, and that's a whole different decision. But for me, like my
Yeah.
bar has been, once you tell me, to your point, you cannot
Oh yeah.
talk about X, Y, and Z. I'm like, well, then piss off.
Yeah.
Like I could love you as a friend. I love you as a person. I love your
Yeah.
business. I love your company. But if I'm being realistic, like if you would say there has to be exclusivity for like a period of time,
Yeah.
that has to be an absurd amount of money, where I'm doing that purposely because I need you to understand that I really don't want to limit the people that I serve, and the people I
Yeah.
serve would be my clients
Yeah.
and my fan base, right? Like my
Yeah.
inner circle. And hopefully that's the brand I want to put out, because I want to say, hey, I want you guys to know like you have been fully transparent. Hey, these are the tools I use, these are the platforms I use, and you're not gonna take money for it. And in a way, look, I think that's beautiful, man, because it's like, again, you're not gatekeeping, you're not silencing people, and you're saying, hey, use it, don't use it, this is what I use.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah. That to me is the most important part. And so like, and with that comes trust, and with that comes authenticity. But like, what are you doing with that trust and authenticity? Like, so, there's folks out there like, the Jason Stats in the world who are, like up in the
Killing it.
up killing it, and doing that intricately. But then you got to remember that those folks, I'll have a whole team of people
Mm-hmm.
that, do the editing, do the this, do the that, do the reach out, do the outreach, and find the folks that they want to work with, and don't just take any and everybody. And it's a lot of consideration. So with somebody who runs a firm, like for me, I'm like, okay, well, like as in my mind, I go, okay, well, I could potentially maybe hire somebody to do some outreach for me. I could potentially, let them know, hey, reach out to this person, reach out to that person. And that would help me tremendously
Mm-hmm.
on that front, and do, negotiation. Or I don't know. Or I just see how things go and maintain the authenticity, do my thing, keep shouting out people that I enjoy working with. And maybe like in my ideal world, like if we're talking about what, I would put out to the universe, that would be that would jive with my thing is if somebody wanted to, I'm not against exclusivity to some extent,
Mm-hmm.
but like if somebody was like, hey, listen, for 5 months or 6 months, we'll pay you whatever per month, and all ad reads will be for us on every episode, I'm down with that.
This makes sense. I
Like
mean,
that makes more sense to me than anything else.
I trust your judgment, man. Like I feel like
Yeah.
your gut and your like intuition has gotten you to this point, and if it's not right, you're not starving for money. You don't need, like, there's nothing
Yeah.
that I could tell, right? Obviously I don't know, to right, but my sense here is that you don't need that money.
No.
right? And for me, your DNA is really, truly, has been like, fuck the money. Like
Yeah.
let's worry about the relationships, and then the money will figure itself out.
That's
And so,
yeah, that's exactly how I roll. And yeah, I mean, there's certainly a downside to it.
of
Like
course,
in perception, like and stuff. But for me, again, to your exact point, I often tell myself, listen, at the end of the day, like I am a firm owner with clients first and foremost, not a content creator or a influencer, like, or a speaker. I'm not on those. I am those things. I could be those things as I want to be. Um, there are things that I enjoy doing more than other things. I will do more of that. If it starts being like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can only do this, you can say these things, I'm not interested in any of your money. Because it's dumb. Like, like it's dumb. Like I don't want that. So that's where that kind of friction. But to get there, you have to play around with those things. You have to play around with, with what it's like to do a brand deal. What is it like to run a podcast ad? What is it like to try to get people to sign up for your for the ad and realize it sucks? And then be like, never mind, I'm just going to pick my own people and figure it out. Or whatever it is, or what's an affiliate deal like? Do I like that? I don't really like that either. I don't know. Like I like genuinely, like, it's a weird thing. Like what, but that's where it comes down to. That's where it comes down to, like, what do you care about? What do you want to do? What's that play out like? Because you can't do it all and be a firm owner. You just can't. Those are two separate businesses. And that's what I'm learning. Full on two separate businesses that if you half-ass it, it's not going to work.
Dirt. We got to wrap this up because I've held you hostage for too long.
Nah, it's all good. It's been good. It's been a good therapy session, I guess.
Well, I'm here for more if you need later on. But for now, if for those who need to reach out or want to, figure out who this enigma is, where can folks find you?
LinkedIn is probably the place where I hang out at the most. Yuri Kapilovich, or you can search the Fun CPA, or you can search whatever. I'm sure I pop up in people's feeds all the time if they're accountants. But that's where I'm at. You can DM me. You can hit the link in the bio and everything. See what I got happening. And yeah, it'll be great to connect with some folks in the accounting space always. I'm having an event on June 25th that I just last week finally scheduled and booked. It's gonna be wild, man. It's gonna be a good time. I know you've been to my last one, but this one's gonna be even more epic, I think.
Bro, that's okay. So I'm gonna tell you guys up front, you're likely gonna be in a situation where if you don't buy a ticket soon, you guys are gonna sell out. So what I'll do is I'll put the links in the description. Also, I'll link your podcast, which I think is an absolute must. If you guys are in the industry, starting off in the industry, considering the industry, you're even senior in the industry, trying to figure out what the hell is going on and like what are other people seeing and noticing and doing. Yeah. To not survival, but really thrive and make a robust industry career choice. I think it's really worth to listen. So with all that said, Yuri, thank you so much for your time. I know it took up a lot of it today.
You're good. You're all good, man. I appreciate you. And thank you. Thanks for always supporting me and all that stuff. And we'll see you at my next event, man. Looking forward to it.
All right, if you guys have any questions, reach out. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
All right, peace.